paused, I think it would do good to alleviate that pain from us so that money is given to other entities. Right, Honorable Speaker, the other issue I may observe, in my view, could be to do with priorities. Right now, I already briefed you what is going on in the city with the broken bridges of Kanyeite, of Katete, of Nyakizi that have even lost 3 lives. Students were buried yesterday, a 23-year-old from Barara University, a 19-year-old from one of the high schools, but then money is being returned to the consolidated fund. I do chair the road fund from Barara City. It's like a practice that you are called in 3 weeks, please come and sit, to be able to effect a program that has been planned for 3 months. So the Minister of Finance cannot go unmentioned here. I think whereas we may want to blame the technical officers for that work, government should be able to take that blame and be able to implement. Lastly, Right Honorable Speaker, the issue to do with structures and cities. I think we need to expedite. The structure came out, but it is still wanting. Some of the areas, you cannot just have a mayor, city engineer to do with the roads without assistance of the different divisions. So as we look at Mbarara City having returned all that amounts of money, we really need help with USMAID so that our roads can get back and be repaired to the desired levels. But I do thank the committee and wish that this report should indeed receive action from the different entities. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Soroti City. Now that we're in the cities, let me first get Soroti City.
Honorable Speaker, like my sister has said it, we have a big problem of structures in the cities that have even never been affected up to now. Number 2, Right Honorable Speaker, the cities have a very big problem. The cities are still operating, Right Honorable Speaker, with the budget of the former municipalities up to now. We carved out a number of parishes into the cities, but it's very unfortunate that up to now, the cities are still running using the budgets of the former municipalities. Number 2, when you pass by Soroti City, up to now, we are still borrowing the graders from the district to grade our roads in the city, up to now. Madam Speaker, you rightly said it here, that Right Honorable Speaker, you rightly said it here, that when you pass by the streets of Soroti, especially the main market, you find the skips like the anthills. We do not have the skips up to now. And then you wonder, where is the problem? Soroti City collects money, like other cities. Money is sent to the center. Our people request for the money, but the Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Local Government, they take time to give back this money to the cities for operations. You can imagine it can take over 1 month. Say, for instance, if money is requisitioned in August 30th, money will come in September 30th. Now that full month, what do we use for running the city? I thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, PPP.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, like my colleagues have already spoken, it looks like this government is not serious to help the people that we represent. I am saying this because the issue of returning money to the consolidated fund did not start yesterday. Year in, year out, the districts are returning money. And the people who voted for us think that the district do not want to use those money. Up to today, government has not come out with a solution of what should be done to make sure that money which is sent to the districts to work, to give services to the people is handled and utilized at the district level. This gives me a lot of worries. The second issue is the issue on PDM. By today, we should have got 100 million already onto the parish circles accounts. But you find that the government cannot come out clearly to explain to us why the money has not reached 100 million. Two, why are they not allowing these people to use the money?
Santa, why we have not received the money and yet we budgeted for it and it is presumed to be released 100%?
Exactly. That's what I am saying, because the people on the ground, the community we are leading, will not believe in us. People are going to the bank, they are checking every day, they are bouncing, they are asking us. For us MPs, we have now failed to know how to explain it because there are guidelines coming from finance, guidelines coming from secretariat. If a local person asks you, you can fail to guide. So that issue is very, very important. On the road infrastructure in the districts, and I'm sure that much of the money which is returned is always for the road infrastructures. You find that the bureaucracy of how to tender into contracts is very, very long. It takes about 3 months for somebody to be given that contract to grade the roads. You find that like in my district in Pade, we have 1 grader. The excavator which is supposed to get Maram is in the pool in Gulu for the whole of northern region. You cannot get that excavator to get for you the Maram. So that is the delay that makes money not utilized and it is returned. I want to beg that government comes out clearly with a reason or a solution as to how we can stop this issue of keeping money and returning. And no money should be given by March or by April to be utilized in the district, because that money will not be utilized. And I agree with you that supplementary budget brought by March or February should not be passed because the money is not always used. Thank you.
The poor absorption is because of rate release and finance taking note. Avoro? Avoro, Ababiko, and Daudi.
Right Honorable Speaker, I want to thank you and I want to thank the chairperson for this good report. Right Honorable Speaker, 2 things. One, I want to talk about the failure or delay to recruit at the district level. Right Honorable Speaker, as a country, when you look at the population pyramid, most of our young people are the ones down the pyramid. That means we are not getting the benefits of the young, productive labor that we should have in this country utilized. And now when we add to delaying recruitment or not recruiting at all, Right Honorable Speaker, we are not doing this country any good. Right Honorable Speaker, we are grappling with the issue of revenue collection. I believe that once this planned recruitment is effected and our people join the employment families or companies, they would add to the revenue that this country desires to collect in terms of VAT, in terms of pay as you earn. I therefore wish to implore the Minister of Finance, if it is a matter of delay on releases, then we are failing the economy. But if it is a matter of the District Service Commission, then I think the cows are the ones failing this country. The other issue I want to talk about, Right Honorable Speaker, payment to dead people or dead staff. Right Honorable Speaker.
To the ghost.
To the ghosts, Right Honorable Speaker. Now, what the report did not bring out clear is whether these monies or these funds are on accounts of those dead people. If they are not.
Can the money be paid to an account and it remains there?
No, but if they are dead, Right Honorable Speaker, the cow definitely knows that in this year, in this quarter, I lost the staff or this number of staff. So we want to know, whom are they paying and is the money there? If the money is being withdrawn, by who?
Payment goes to workers is a responsibility of the accounting officer. You're
Yes.
supposed to know which people are available and which people are there, which accounts are active.
Exactly.
First of all, do you have those people? Are they beneficiaries?
Yeah, because we see on
Every
their,
time we hear cleaning of the payroll, what do they clean?
lastly, Honorable Speaker, on the late releases, Right Honorable Speaker, we are operating a cash economy. True, the funds may not be enough. By the fact that you release them, that means the funds are available. But the question is, we have what we call framework procurement. I'm wondering why the accounting officers cannot be authorized, or they cannot use that option to procure, to ensure that service delivery is given to our people in time, so that they can be able within a quarter. I imagine now this week, if funds were released, why wouldn't they by 30th June not have utilized the funds? Because the framework procurement allows them to not to go through the full length of procurement processes. Right Honorable Speaker, I need that clarification from the
Thank you
Honorable
so
Minister.
much. The good thing you're chairperson of Finance Committee, where finance reports to. So you're supposed to give, you are actually the one supposed to give us that feedback. Jessica Daudi.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I appreciate the work done by the committee. Right Honorable Speaker, my concern is about the unspent monies which ends up being returned. That means that prioritized activities will never be done, or we are not done. Right Honorable Speaker, this affects all of us. Parliament and local government leaders, especially the politicians. At the end, we remain more accountable. And at times we even get voted out. And yet we do our part as Parliament. Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, I propose, instead of only holding the accounting officers responsible for this mismanagement, we need to also hold other line ministries accountable. For example, in relation to USMID, Ministry of Lands delayed in planning and producing plans for the projects. Ministry of Finance delays in releasing funds. So I propose we add the line ministries accountable, and the officers in those ministries should be held liable. To Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, on poor management of assets, I'm more concerned about land. Right Honorable Speaker, issues of land conflict are daily increasing in our districts. I propose that our local governments must prioritize having registration and land titles for the lands that they own, because sub-counties are fighting among themselves and people are dying. Right Honorable Speaker, on the issue of domestic arrears, I believe strongly it is the last person who suffers most. When the accounting officers do not have these documents right, it is the service provider or a person who is supposed to be paid who suffers more than the accounting officers. Right Honorable Speaker, I strongly believe that is one of the reasons why some people get off payroll. And at the end, they suffer. For example, in Ajuman district, my secondary teachers, for the last 2 months, have not been paid. Who failed to compile their list? These are the people who have been on payroll. So Right Honorable Speaker, I pray that the issues of payroll, which causes domestic arrears, must be sorted. Thank you so much.
Thank you. That
Thank you.
now takes us to David. Before you come in, Honorable Mujuki had something on nurses.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the medical workers' strike commenced last night. And as we talk now, they are not in the senior medical workers. As we talk now, they are not in health centers and facilities. Emergency cases are not being attended to. Patients are at the risk of death. Actually dying, may be dying. Madam Speaker, as money is being returned, as excess money is being sent, the medical workers cannot be paid. It is an emergency for us as Parliament to find a solution, first of all, to the strike of the medical workers. I see the chairperson of Health is here, Health Committee. But for this very discussion we are on, why do we have to have districts collect money in the districts? Send it to the center first. Then it is sent back late and sent back again. In whose interest is this happening? Why don't we actually leave the money collected in districts to stay in the districts and do some work? But they have to first collect it, send it to the center. Yes, I mean, is it helping? Yes, it's a little bit of I have no problem with it. I'm only asking why we have given it to you, you keep it and send it back on the 11th hour. What is your interest? So, Madam Speaker, even with these excesses and the very good laws we have, Ugandans are suffering, the medical workers are on strike. So I don't know what we can do as Parliament, even when the ministers are not here. But whether they are here or not, the patients are dying.
Honorable Francis, returning the money at the end of the financial year is a requirement of the law. But much as is a requirement of the law, we also have an issue of priorities. Health workers are a priority, a necessity. What can we do to the health workers who are striking finance?
Madam Speaker, the Minister of Health and the Minister of Health in this case will give a comprehensive statement to this House, but also I know that on Monday, this is a standing item we want to discuss in the Cabinet. So I want to pray that the Minister of Health comes to the House and gives you.
But Honorable Minister, you know very well there was 80 billion that was returned by Mlago. That is just Mlago alone. Mlago, Cancer Institute, and Women Hospital, and one of them, they returned. Dr. Ime, you have information to that? The Cancer Institute, Mlago, and which returned 80 million.
Madam Speaker, before I answer that, on the issue of the strike, there's a petition that was brought to your office, and the committee was able to process the strike by the medical interns and the senior house officers. And Madam Speaker, we're able to interact with the Ministry of Finance. There is 80 billion shillings that would be needed for the next financial year, and we're bluntly told by the minister that that money will not be available in the next financial year. We have a backlog of 1,900 interns who have been seated at home, Madam Speaker, for the last 8 months, waiting to join service. And some of them are now managers of saloons and so forth. As parents of these interns, it is quite disheartening that they have invested in 5 years and government cannot absorb them. So, Madam Speaker, I know we have, the report is ready, it has been signed. but I can give you snippets of the report. I hope I'm not preempting the discussion. One of
No,
the
that is not proper. Let's first don't kill your report. But Honorable Musasizi, you used to be an MP like all of us here. Like all of us here. And you're a parent. Just imagine paying school fees for 5 years for a doctor. And this doctor cannot practice anywhere because he has not done internship. Just imagine. Which other priority area would we have other than health, education, and that kind of thing? Tell us.
Madam Speaker, on a light note, I have been a member of this House since 2011. I represent Rwanda County East in Rwanda District, former Kabale, Chigezi Sub-Region. Madam Speaker.
And you're just starting your term now. You still have 20 years.
I still have more 20 years to go. Because I've just made 42 years. Madam Speaker, on top of that, yes, I am a parent, and my sister who follows me is a doctor. So this subject is so dear to me. I can see Honorable Kamara is passionately listening to me. Madam Speaker, the issue that is happening, which I presented in the committee, is an issue which is clearly understandable by even us, the lay people, in as far as health management is concerned. However, the chronology is that in this financial year, on medical interns, including those who have finished waiting to be taken on, they called them senior house something, senior house officers, plus those who are studying still in school. The bill has been 80 billion. In the next financial year, we are saying because of the constraints we have, Ministry of Health needs to discuss with us at policy level and see what we can do.
It needs a clarification.
Yeah, thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Recently, this government increased the salaries for scientists by about 300%. And now we are seeing a situation where we are not absorbing the interns because we do not have money. I just want to know how this can be possible. That we cannot absorb interns because the government doesn't have money. Yet the government was in a position to increase salaries by over 300%.
Self-imposed law.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And I want to thank the Minister for giving way. Madam Speaker, most of the hospitals, it's the interns who carry out most of the work. And other doctors give just guidance. And as a matter of fact, Madam Speaker, you are well informed and you directed the Minister of Education here to come and explain why they have closed teacher training institutions. Now, if they stop taking interns, as they are doing for doctors, it means they are saying we have many doctors now, we can't afford them. So can you tell this House that you are also soon going to close the medical schools because you have many in excess and you don't have the money? Lastly, the further clarification, Madam Speaker, is that this House you are chairing, we agreed that even if, because the challenges on local governments, taking back their money is not on them, it is from finance. They send the money late and the procedures become difficult for them. So we ask them that in the case this money is taken back, or let it be ring-fenced in the interest of those particular districts and local authorities, other than giving them to other, using it for other ventures? Could you tell us those two questions? The first one, and secondly, do you ring fence this money as you take it back in the interest of those districts or local governments?
There is another clarification.
Further clarification. Thank you. The clarification I seek from the minister is, as a government, we have come up with a policy to promote sciences. I want to give one specific school where in a class of 500 S6, there are only 80 doing arts. The rest are doing science. Now, we are failing to absorb just this year 1,900. By the time these children graduate and become scientists, we shall have 20,000. Will we really be capable of absorbing all these scientists? Are we serious with the policies that we come with? Are we ready? Do we plan for this country? That is the clarification I seek from you, sir.
Thank you.
Right Honorable.
And you get all the clarifications. I wish you could be.
Thank you.
Right
I
Honorable
wish you
Speaker.
could be noting.
Right Honorable Speaker, the clarification I would like to seek from the Minister of Finance is monies that are brought back to Ministry of Finance. We have never at any time gotten to know how much has been collected from several districts, local governments and administrative units that is brought back. How come that you have unfunded priorities, yet money is coming back? Can we know, can you present to this house how much money you collect every financial year that comes back? Because it is not, where does it go? What does it do?
How much money you collect from returns, the unused funds. Another clarification from Zombo.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. To the Minister, we had been talking about employing a medical doctor in Health Center 3 at a sub-county level. With all the constraints you are talking about, will this work?
Another clarification from.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I have of late, Madam Speaker, there is information that I want to give the House about doctors. I was in hospital, I think, on Tuesday and Wednesday, and I picked information from senior doctors that there is a game going on in the Ministry of Health. We have doctors who are supposed to be elevated to consultation level, to become consultants, doctors who have been studying, who are now supposed to be leaving the chairs for the young doctors who have nowhere to go. And they have been deliberately not elevated. And they will keep, yet there is space, there is room, there is need of those doctors. But the Ministry of Health, whatever game that is being played, no one can tell. These doctors are there. They have to be elevated so that these young doctors can now get space and come in and work. Therefore, Madam Speaker, I think there is need for Parliament. There is need for Parliament to look at it. What is exactly happening? And where is the problem? Okay. Madam Speaker, the other thing maybe I wanted to mention about
But on what you're saying, when you look at Uganda, the patient ratio, doctor-patient ratio is 1 to 25,000. But then in the World Health Organization, it is 1 to 1,000. So we need to scale up to make sure that we meet what the World Health Organization needs.
Lastly, Madam Speaker, something I wanted to talk about these accounting officers that we are all talking about, and we sometimes condemn and we sometimes even punish them where they are not, where maybe they have done a mistake. Madam Speaker, there is something that I've been seeing going on in different districts. First of all, money comes late in districts, and these accounting officers are advised from the ministry.
By the way, we as parliament do not punish anybody. They don't report to us.
Madam Speaker, some of these accounting officers are advised to fix the money in different projects.
Who advises them? Let's talk with
Madam
evidence.
Speaker, I have seen this, and I am talking this with.
Let's talk with evidence. Where is the evidence that an accounting officer was advised to fix the money, and by who?
Madam Speaker, I can gather information and bring it because I know.
Now that you don't have
give me permission, Madam Speaker, and I'll bring it.
Don't talk like a Muchiga. Now that you don't have the information, you withdraw that one. Withdraw that statement until you have evidence. You come and lay here, and we shall have that person punished.
Madam Speaker, I will withdraw it, but with permission.
Not you will withdraw.
Madam Speaker.
You're a commissioner. Withdraw until you bring evidence, lay on table, so that we hold those people culpable.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker, and I want to withdraw the statement, but I want to request for your permission that once I have this, I come and give you I bring it here in Parliament, because why I'm saying this,
there's an order here.
Already. I'm of God. Procurement office.
Right, Honorable Speaker, I'm not speaking as former commissioner, but I think it is important that all of us should keep reading our rules. Once the speaker guides and directs that a statement be made, must be made according to the directives of the speaker. Now, when the speaker says, withdraw the statement, you withdraw. But now you are saying, I withdraw back. So that one is not allowed. I'm just guiding. It's not my work, it's the work of the government chief whip or the opposition chief whip. But I'm just advising that as colleagues, we must respect the chair, the speaker. When the chair gives instruction, we must obey. I beg to. So is it therefore in order? Speaker,
of course,
is it in order?
Of course, Honorable Cross is not in order. I have said if you're debating, bring evidence to what you're saying. And we said, withdraw until you have it. Once you have it, nobody can deny you to bring evidence in this house. And let's have respect for each other. Let's not just talk like weaver birds. Talk. Let's have respect for each other. Can I have that withdrawn?
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I withdraw the statement.
Thank you, David.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker.
It's a procedure matter. No, a minister is going to respond because David is also on the same thing.
Madam Speaker, Rule 72 talks about the contents of a speech, that a speech of a member must make a reference to the subject under discussion. And the matter which was under discussion was consideration of report of the committee, the PAC on local government. And I've seen a number of issues emerge, such as this one you've just advised must be withdrawn. Would you kindly guide this House on how we should proceed? Thank you.
Honorable August Lee, the matter of underabsorption and return of funds and failure to pay the workers is what is under debate now. And we are saying the doctors have not been paid because the monies have been returned. And failure to pay these doctors is because of the monies that we are returned. I give you an example of Mulago Cancer Institute. 80 billion was returned. No accountability of that money. It has not been taken back. These people have not been paid. So many, the interns work under local governments. In my hospital, I only have, in Bukede, I only have interns, but they cannot work. That is the local government report that we are looking at now under the perspective of health. That's what we are within the same topic, local government. That's why we are telling her to withdraw. So that's why we are telling her to withdraw. Daudi?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, allowed me join my colleagues to appreciate the chair and the committee for the report. Madam Speaker, I am very concerned, especially on the issue of the contractor, on the projects of the UGIPs. The chair actually gave elaborate reports and also mentioned the issue of the contractor and the challenges that they have experienced. I have a case in point, Madam Speaker, in my constituency. Now, there is a contractor that was given a contract for the construction of the 6th secondary school. And the contractor is called Mesco Uganda Limited. Madam Speaker, the site was handed over in January this year. To now, to date, the contractor hired the local community to dig the foundation, but the community were not paid the money. They borrowed the local community to dig the foundation, but without payment. There is a lot of chaos now, Madam Speaker, and the reason being the contractor has almost over 10 contracts given to one contractor. There are 3 contracts in Agago district. There are contracts in Otuke. There are other contracts in other districts. One contractor. Madam Speaker, I am wondering why the central government give contracts to one contractor who is not effective and delay the process of the implementation of the contract. This is a problem. And I am wondering, Parliament need to come with a decision. If we talk about the issue of decentralization, why don't we give opportunity to local government to manage such contract? And this will make the work become effective. And the work is not going to be jeopardized. So it is my humble appeal for Parliament to come with a decision which is very concrete on the issue of the contractor. I thank you.
Honorable Minister, the issue of decentralization of those contracts, it's really a very big problem. Because you find one contractor has over 10 schools and they cannot afford to manage that. First, talk about the interns, talk about the contractors, talk about under absorption.
Madam Speaker, I want to thank colleagues for this debate. I was told.
Julius, come back. Let's finish the report.
Madam Speaker.
You stop him. Susan, close that door. Today I've promoted you. Yes, please.
Madam Speaker, let me first of all take this opportunity to congratulate Honorable Susan Amero upon her.
That was a joke. That was a joke.
Madam Speaker, to sum up the Madam
continue.
Madam Speaker, this whole issue about interns and the senior house officers. Madam Speaker, when we are budgeting and planning, we are informed by needs. The need I'm picking from here and also from the affected people themselves, is that as a government, we need to go back and reconsider so that this category of people remain a priority. I want to undertake that we shall go back, discuss with the Ministry of Health and the Cabinet, and then come back with a position which addresses the needs we are picking from this challenge. Madam Speaker, the question of when is coming up. We are in the process of budgeting. From your program, on Tuesday, we are supposed to be here the whole day debating the budget. And we shall be able to give you feedback about what we shall have decided on the way forward. Madam, money returned in financial year 2021-22, which closed on 30th of June 2022, we had returned funds amounting to 685 billion, which was returned to the consolidated fund. The question is, what happens to this money? I wish to inform the House that whereas there were returns to the consolidated fund amounting to this figure, at the same time, the consolidated fund closed with a deficit of over 3 trillion shillings. So ideally, this money is not reserved somewhere. It is utilized for other purposes. Madam Speaker, I wish colleagues would listen to me because I'm telling you facts.
Honorable, that's why one of the members was saying,
Yes.
during fence this money to go back to what it was supposed to have done.
Speaker, we don't ring fence the money save for specific projects funded by external resources, like USMAID, like UGIFT. There the money is saved. And I normally come back here to ask for supplementary appropriation for this clarification.
Thank you, the Right Honourable Speaker, and the Minister for giving way. Madam Speaker, in the past, which these days they are not doing it so critical. Once the money it is in the local government, as that money has been committed, they don't take it back to consider the fund. But these days, every money that goes to the local government, whether the money it is within the projects which is being implemented, you hear the report from the district that the money has been swept back to the central government. And it gives the burden to leaders like us to explain, and even they don't know the barrier. Could it maybe you clarify on that matter regarding the money that has been committed and the project is ongoing, and yet the money again, they say they bring it back to the center?
Clarification.
Honorable Court John Amos.
Maybe we first need to harmonize our figures. What was given to all local governments? Okay, what was returned from local governments in total is 703 billion. 703 billion, according to the report. However, for you, you're saying that it is 685. Now, this is the 703 is only for local governments. Remember, there are other MDS There are other institutions like Parliament. There are other statutory institutions that return the money to the consolidated account. So you need to give us the whole figure as opposed to what you're giving us. The figure you gave us is not a correct one.
Madam Speaker, yes, we can reconcile the figure and report back. But that figure, you were also looking at, perhaps since it is from local government, you are looking at UGIFT and USMAID. That's why we needed to reconcile. Because for me, when I'm reporting the consolidated fund, sometimes we separate we categorize. But that not being the case,
but you still come back and ask for that money for USMAID.
I'll come back with a reconciled figure, which has central government votes and also the local government votes. Madam Speaker, the Honorable Court John Amos wants to know whether committed funds are also returned to the consolidated fund. The answer is no. Where funds have been committed, they remain with the spending vote. There is another, yes, Honorable.
Clarification from your professor.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, and thank you, Honorable Minister, for giving way. I need clarification. You said that actually why the funds were returned, were swept back to the consolidated fund, the consolidated fund had a deficit. And this is where I need your explanation. How does the deficit come about? Because you see, the only way the deficit would come about would be where you have planned for 43 trillion and you have only received 35 trillion, okay, in form of taxes, NTR, borrowings. There we would talk of the 8 trillion deficit. However, in this case, at the consolidated fund level, there is no deficit. The deficit is in terms of releases when money is being released to MDAs. And where MDAs spend more than what they have received, that's when they have areas. And at budgeting, these areas are budgeted for. So now, which deficit are you talking about at the consolidated fund level? And Right Honourable Speaker, it has been a very big question about the funds that are swept back. Because whenever we are appropriating, we've never had anything like balance brought down at the consolidated fund. So that we add taxes, so that we add NTR, so that we add borrowings, so that we have an entire basket to appropriate. We only have taxes, NTR, borrowings, that's what we appropriate. So what normally happens to this balance swept back to the consolidated fund?
And do you always report back what is on the consolidated account at the end of the financial year as a balance carried forward to the next financial year?
Madam Speaker, I wish to inform Honorable Choma. Why don't you allow me speak? Then you, Madam Speaker, I wish to inform Honorable Choma, my professor and my friend,
and the House,
that there is a difference between a budget and a consolidated fund account. The consolidated fund account is like my account, is the bank account of government. For budgeting purposes, we report to you the resource envelope, our sources of revenue, and how we intend to spend it.
And then you should also be able to tell us this is the balance carried forward.
Madam Speaker, is also important to note that our budget starts from zero every financial year.
That's where the problem is. Madam Speaker.
Yeah,
But I find that you have something to say. You come and say. Honorable members, let's take our debate to Auditor General's report. Let's take our debate. And you the one who talked about the rule. Stick to what is being reported. Let's take our debate to Auditor General's report. We shall discuss about the carried forward and balance brought down in the next debate.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to also contribute on the debate about the report that has been presented by the chair and his committee members. In his submission, in the report, he did mention something to do with engineering brigade, undertaking some projects in local governments. And he raised the two areas of concern. One is that they are contravening the law on PPDA by giving 100% payment even before the commencement of the project, which law normally requires that when a company wins a contract, they are given 30% as advance payment, and then the rest they are paid according to the certificate of completion. But for UPDF, for engineering brigade, they get 100%. That is the number one area he raised. But to the best of my knowledge, and fortunately enough, I think the Attorney General is about the law on this. Me, I think that law only applies on private companies, which private companies can sue or can be sued, can go to the banks and borrow, and then undertake projects. But this time, well, we will get that.
First leave the general to talk.
So, but this time, engineering brigade, UPDF engineering brigade is not a private company. It is government. It's a government body. So I don't know.
Honorable Taylor, there is procedure. You sit just on the front bench here.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I seek clarification from General Kavuma on which law exactly regulates UPDF engineering brigade to undertake contracts with the government. I need to be guided on the law that you are making specific reference to, under which the UPDF engineering brigade gets contracts to undertake public activities, which
and then under which law are they paid 100%? Under which law? Then, and that one now even opens us more to engineering brigade. You first sit. We gave money to Nambole Nambole was supposed the work was given to engineering brigade. Nambole, we need a report from leader of opposition. It's almost the work. My brother will bear me witness. Not much has been done. Let's not cover things. Not much is being done. If they are not doing it well, they are not. I've seen you. Yes, honorable, you finish.
Clarification you sought about the law under which engineering brigade, which is a government entity, gets or does or undertakes contracts, government contracts. That is government to government now. That is government. Do we require a law in the first place? Information.
Honorable members. Honorable members. Honorable members. Honorable members. Honorable Kavuma is trying to defend the engineering brigade. And he has a right. He has a right to defend his team. You get it, eh? So that is his opinion. That is his opinion. And he has done it very well. He has done it very well. There is no... Let the minister first say it. Honorable, we shall need a report. We'll need a report on Nambole.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, for your guidance. I'm getting to hear from you that there's a pending report from the LOP.
Yes.
That would be very much welcome. But as the supervising minister of the Engineers Brigade, we need to know, probably when you give us that opportunity, we come and give this parliament what that wonderful brigade of the army is doing. And how we got...
By the way, the engineering brigade, in terms of construction of schools, those hospitals, has done a perfect job. That one outside, they've done a good job. The only problem they have is on Nambole, because they don't have...
And a quick one on Nambole. I have been there. It's true that work is, we lost 4 months of our contract time. What is going on in Nambole, it is true that we've never renovated any stadium in Uganda or anywhere. It's a new thing, but all what is needed, where we are lacking the experience, we've been able to outsource, especially on grass, planting of grass and getting that grass. It's not the ordinary grass in our village schools. So, but if the wisdom of the guidance of the speaker, we can give full account. We have about 131 contracts, and out of which I think about 56 they are complete. And we have a story, but where there is a story, I think that if you
Why
give us
don't we have respect for each other?
And I might not be saying what you want to hear, but I'm speaking the truth. And I will always speak the truth. Whether you interrupt, it will never change the truth that UPDF came into this as a way following a presidential directive. The issues that we are grappling with in this parliament is the misfortune that the law that we make makes people to suffer, like the Honorable Minister of Finance. We make laws, we have constituencies, we have districts, but now the law that requires us to return the money, it affects everyone. And now when the law affects everyone, it is upon us to try to review and look for a solution.
Honorable, as a lawyer, is it right for an accounting officer to pay 100% when the contract is just being given without certificates of completion?
And this is what General Kavuma was speaking about. This is a new paradigm shift. This is a policy shift that will need the support of this House, so that if we see it works, we can fortify it by bringing the law here.
Before the law comes in place, is it correct as of now?
Yes. 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 I can say yes 100 times, because if it is the same government of the Republic of Uganda has a project, procedure before I could.
No, he has something to say.
Explain.
You know, we need to learn from each other. What I'm asking him, is it correct? We are saying the advance payment should be 30%. Now in this case, the advance payment is 100. What I am asking as a lawyer, can you advise this House?
As a lawyer,
for us not to punish the accounting officers, because we are punishing the accounting officers for that. So we need to understand, is it correct for us to punish those accounting officers?
The Right Honorable Speaker, those are two things. I want to handle on the issue of the Engineers Brigade. Is it correct to give them 100% money, which is not in all cases, only a few cases relating to Ministry of Health, Ministry of Education? We've had challenges. We've had also places, including Nambole, we've been given 25% of the money. They expect 100% of work. Now, government, please.
Yeah, let's hear from him so that
Musomesa.
Let's hear. Yes,
I'm being put to the spot that I answer the question. I'm trying to answer the question. And the straight answer to whether it is right to give Engineers Brigade 100%. And by the way, for the record, the answer is yes.
Using which law? Using which law?
The law that one would use, there is.
Honorable members.
No.
Honorable members, please calm down. Honorable has answered that the law one would use. That is good enough.
No, I wanted to give information, but the House seems to be hostile.
No, the House is not hostile. The House is just inquisitive.
Matters of law, Madam Speaker, and I know you're a lawyer, is not a matter that others are saying you don't have. You have.
Love, can I hear from you?
Can I tell you for a fact that what is being done, if you get the concept of how the Engineers Brigade came into place, then you would know that it is in order. 100%.
Can I hear from Love? Love? Let's hear from you. Honor members, listen.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. You know, good old OO is a friend of our good old times. And as a good lawyer, he knows what it means to die intestate. So in other words, he was here to make an application for letters of administration or for an intestate. But we can understand where he's coming from.
By the way,
But you know,
he comes from Tororo.
but he knows what it takes for letters of administration to be granted to an applicant. And I'm afraid his application has very many voids that render it void ab initio. It collapses, therefore. Not only Speaker, the report from the chairperson is good, and I want to appreciate him for that effort. Absorptive capacity.
Members, you can't even kill out for local government.
Challenges of release, absorption, staff recruitment, corruption, connivancy, ghost workers, pension challenges. All speak to almost an intestate situation that the good OO was trying to explain. And, you know, it's not part of the mandate of the committee to give a verdict on the functionality, feasibility, and later on, the viability of decentralization, Honorable Speaker. And I want to invite the House that probably this 11th Parliament, beyond the general debate we've had over the last 10 plus years I've been here, we have never made a proper diagnosis of this problem. But the cancer has been eating deep, deep, and deep until now. It is eating away at the bone marrow, Honorable Speaker. And I have no doubt this patient is a cripple sooner than later. We need to have a very potent conversation as to whether decentralization as a policy in the way it is crafted is viable. I had an informal conversation before here with the good general here about decentralization. And we were speaking about the several local governments we created, the small entities, under the guise of taking services closer to the people. So instead of taking services, we actually took corruption closer to the people. We decentralized the corruption. Corruption is nearer to the people than the services. You see, when you ask the ordinary man, he's studying corruption. If local governments were an equation and we have variables, corruption will be a permanent variable. I need a bulldozer to solve that equation. Right, Honorable Speaker, I want to invite this House. I hear both sides of the House are discussing constitutional and electoral reforms. On my side, sooner than later, I'll table to the country what we are proposing. And I want to invite legislators who will be the final arbiters in this conversation to rethink the whole idea of devolution of powers. If we are serious about service delivery, in other countries, in other jurisdictions, where devolution is serious, there is even a formula devolving funds to local entities that the center cannot even touch. Ours is open lax. If the Honorable Musasizi does not think well about me, my releases will come 10 days to end of financial and they return. That's how they work. You know, I'm not saying that he does it.
They return and they don't account for it.
Of course, that's another conversation, Honorable Speaker, and that's why we need to think of very serious reforms. You see, this is no longer a small short-term problem. In planning, the good minister knows, when you have a long-term problem, you go for reforms. If short-term, you go for adjustment. This requires reform, including changing legislation. For instance, who said that we cannot alter the PFMA to demand that the returned funds become part of the next financial year for that entity? No? What stops us from changing legislation to ensure that the monies that are returned become part of the ceiling for that entity the following financial year? As part of stopping the lamentation as legislators, a private member can move that and we change the legislation. There's no legal bar. In fact, the bar is Parliament.
Actually, that's why I often need a private member to move on the 3%. The 3%, we as Parliament should know what that 3% is being used for. But that does not stop us from passing what has been passed, because it has already gone. So we will need to pass what has already passed, and then we bring in an amendment to the Public Finance Management Act.
The information I wanted to give Lob is that while you are looking for ways and means of coming up with legal reform, we should address our minds to the supplementary budget we normally pass at the exit door of the financial year. We have raised that concern that we pass billions, sometimes even trillions, as we are doing now, at the exit door of the financial year. What happens to that money? Because most of them involve procurement, and with procurement, you have to go through PPDA regulations and so on. So there is no way that you can spend those trillions of shillings within a space of 1 month or 3 weeks. So we need to address our mind. And I think the Minister of Finance must come back to us and tell us that this is the money you pass before July, and this is how we spent it. Because that money just disappears. We have never been able to know what happens to the trillions of shillings we pass at the exit door of the financial year.
Thank you, ma'am. Rightly so. And part of that reform, right, Honorable Speaker, will relate to operationalizing the contingencies fund. When you operationalize it, you actually do not need the supplementary. The law is very clear. The supplementary is indiscipline, it's abuse. We need to find a way of stopping it. Finally, right, Honorable Speaker, I want to encourage colleagues here to become active on your district road fund committees, because the law makes you bona fide members of these committees. And amongst yourselves, you can choose a chair. Over the last 10 years, I've been very active on my district roads committee. 5 years ago, I chaired it, and I turned around the community. These 5 years, Dr. Bedi Bwanika is the chair. But we follow every penny voted to Masaka for the roads fund. It's very small money. Please for it. Get interested. Part of this is a bonanza for some of the technical people there. But part of the reason is because members of parliament are lax in following the road fund. Get interested. You'll see a difference. You probably could come to Masaka and this is how we work. You can't touch it. You cannot. Every quarter we sit. Every quarter we evaluate what has been done. every quarter we follow. We go and visit the roads physically to see what has been done. You cannot show us the roads on paper. No way.
And that's what they call oversight. That's one of your roles as
So I want to
members.
encourage, because you are members of the Roads Committee as per the Road Fund Act. In fact, go and buy the booklet of the Act and read and see the kind of obligations that rest upon your shoulders as members of Parliament. This small money, before the Honorable Musasizi calls it and say it is potea, please go and supervise how it is used, because he needs it badly to do whatever God knows with it. But, Honorable Speaker, I hope at the end of this report, which I want to invite Parliament to adopt, we would follow up some of these recommendations, especially on areas of open abuse of public funds. And part of it is being condoned by recycling perennially corrupt public officers. You recycle them and make corruption endemic, and recycle until they are retired. Just imagine retiring as declared corrupt, and every report says you are corrupt. Every other document, every page you open on a report in Parliament says you was here, you stole here, you stole there. So we need to follow up, and probably a timely Treasury memorandum will stand this report instead. Right, Honourable Speaker.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Of course, we need a Treasury memorandum within 6 months of adoption of this report. I now put a question that the report of the Committee on Public Accounts, Local Government, on the report of Auditor General's report for the financial year 2021-2022 on the 27 districts, local government, 3 cities, 4 divisions, and 5 municipal councils be adopted by this House. Those in favor say on the contrary, nay. The ayes have it. I now instruct the clerk to extract the resolutions of the whole report and actions to be taken and report back to this House on the actions taken by Treasury memoranda, and that is under section 53(1) of the Public Finance Management Act. The chairs of all the committees, I want to request and urge you to go, and now that we have the core agenda, go and see on the harmonization of the core agenda. You are ex-officials of the Budget Committee. We are going to start on Tuesday on supply in the morning. I am now adjourning the House to Tuesday at 10.
UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Talk with freedom. Get MTN Freedom voice bundles that don't expire. Dial *100 *21# or my MTN app for more bundles. Together, we're unstoppable.
UBC is the national public broadcaster. We educate, inform, entertain, and inspire our audiences. You can watch us on free-to-air channel 001, DSTV channel 282, GoTV channel 371, Star Times channel 201, Zuku TV channel 20, and Azam TV channel 350. Even when your subscription expires, you can still watch UBC for free on your pay TV platforms.